Yo, 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 yo. I am Brandon, and welcome back to Pulling My Handicap Card.
And I am Deandra.
And today we have a very special guest. And she has Spinabifida, so she is very special to me.
Introduce yourself, love.
Hello, my name is Yvonne Milton.
Hey there, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, so you want to dive right into it?
Sure, let's go.
So I think everybody kind of has their own definition of spina bifida, you know, with it being the snowflake disease. Will you want to give us like your definition of spina bifida?
Sure. First of all, it sucks. But, I make it do what it do. I'm trying to make it look good.
And you too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I kind of go by once I read the definition of what it was, I kind of put it into my own words. So basically, spina bifida is like you said, a snowflake birth defect, and it's also a neural tube birth defect. And it happens when the spine doesn't properly form, causing different nerves and tissues to be exposed. And I know that all the people that I've known with spina bifida, it affects everybody differently. Mine, per se, thankfully, is at the lower part of my spine, so it affects everything from the waist down for the most part. But I always tell people don't get it twisted, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes. So for me, I have been having kind of troubles with as I get older. Is it more difficult for you as you get older?
Yes, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
I mean, which part do you want me to start with? 'Cause I got a list of things. I have a list of things ranging from the bladder issues, the bowel issues, and before we go any further, I'm very transparent. I try not to get too X-rated, but I'm very transparent about how spina bifida affects me or whatever. So I feel free to ask anything. But yeah, so the bowel, the bladder. Thankfully, I do not have a shunt. I know that there are a handful of people with spina bifida that do not have shunts, and I actually just learned that a couple of years ago. I thought everybody had a shunt, and I thought I was supposed to have a shunt, so I went to my doctor, and I was like, "Why don't I have a shunt? Am I supposed to have one? You need to go ahead and put it in there because I think I need one because everybody else has one." So, yeah.
We just got done talking about that. So I don't have a shunt either. So they kept telling me when I turned 14, 14 is just the age that they stop looking for it or whatever. And they're like, it's going to happen. And thank God it never happened. I just don't know.
I heard that.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know, with your spina bifida, but thankfully a lot of things that, the doctors told my mom and told me as I got older, that would go wrong. I haven't really seen those things. Thankfully, I count it a blessing, and it's not something that I brag about because you just never know what
When
life holds
Yep.
or whatever. But yeah, I'm not shunted, thankfully, and I always say that God knows what to give you because He knows what you can handle, and obviously He didn't think I can handle a shunt because I don't need that going on with my brain. So yeah.
I feel it. What about work? Do you work?
No, I don't work. Well, from home. I've dibbled and dabbled in all kinds of stuff. But a couple years ago, I tried to do the whole school work thing, and it didn't work out that well. I ended up in the hospital 3 times to be exact. With I guess I was just not getting enough rest and putting too much stress on my body. So with me, it's either or. So for the most part, I have been doing school for the longest time, and I still haven't graduated, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Hey,
But
at least you're doing it.
yeah, but with COVID stopped a lot of things, slowed some things up, and I've always wanted to. My major has changed so many times. I've always wanted to be a special ed teacher. I wanted to be kind of like the voice that I wish I had growing up as far as, being a person with a disability. the teachers that are supposed to, encourage you to be your best and all this kind of stuff. I didn't always have that. So I thought I wanted to go into that field, but like I say, my major changed so many times. So right now I'm headed toward being a life coach, a Christian life coach.
Awesome.
I love that, but I'm probably just a little biased because I'm a Christian life coach myself.
Oh, really?
I am, so I think that is amazing. You just keep going for it.
Oh, okay. And the crazy thing about it is like I've been on, I'm not really gonna say a strike, but kind of a strike
Mm-hmm.
with. I feel like I've been in school my entire life since I was 3, 4, 5 years old, going to pre-K on up because I don't know, like a lot of people with Spinabifida, as far as education, they like to make you feel like you can't do anything pretty much. And my mom, thankfully, I had a mom that really fought for my education when I was younger. So I was never in what they call the ESC classes, the exceptional student education or special ed, in simpler terms.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in those classes up. Like, I think I started in pre-K. And then once I got to kindergarten, I tested out of those classes and I was always in regular standard classes. Up until I got into maybe the 8th grade. And for whatever reason, I don't really know. I kind of feel like I was one of the students that fell through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was placed back into the special ed classes, and they don't teach you at all. Like I had one teacher that would tell me, to open your book. And if somebody walks in, you just act like you're doing something.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, and me being a child, I think I was like in the 6th grade during that time. Me being a child, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do any work. Just come to school and have fun. Hey, that's dope.
Well, yeah.
And I didn't know that it was going to catch up with me later on in life. Wanting to go to college and having all these dreams. It didn't work out that well. So, I finished school in those classes, and then once I got to the 12th grade, well, not even the 12th grade, the 9th grade, going to high school, I was like, what, I want to try regular standard classes again. And they told me I would have to go all the way back to like 3 grades behind to like maybe the 6th grade to see if I would get all my credits. And I'm like, well,
Wow.
why would I do that? Like, why didn't somebody tell us? They have these meetings called the IEP meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And IEP stands for Individual Evaluation Plan for each student. And there was no one that told my mom, that your daughter would have to go back and see if she could get all her credits, see if she knows the work. Like, they didn't tell us anything. They just let me go on about my merry way. And then once I wanted to get back in regular classes, they was like, nah, you can't do it. So up until my senior year in high school, I was just like, I want to go to college. It has always been my dream to go to college. So my mom withdrew me from public school, and I just started studying for my GED. And by me not being taught things that I needed to know in math, I think I had to take the math test like probably at least 4 or 5 times before I actually passed it. But I kept going, and I persevered, and I got my diploma.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I cried real tears too.
I'm sure you did. That's awesome. I can't even put into words like your perseverance. It's funny, we hadn't really talked like going this direction, but since you brought it up, I really want to talk about it. Brandon and I have been talking about this a lot lately. And so I kind of want to know your thoughts, because one of the things that we kind of focus on our podcast is that just because someone is labeled disabled does not mean that they are also mentally disabled. So spina bifida, for the most part, especially for those who don't have a shun or whatnot, seems to mainly be a physical disability, not a mental disability. You guys are fully capable to learn like any other student. But in your case, it sounds like you said, fell through the cracks and they ended up placing you in these special education classes. What's your thought process on that? Because I'll just kind of tell you my feelings. I personally don't feel that students who need, which in your case, you didn't need to be in those special ed classes, but I don't think that I personally don't think that students need to be pulled out and put into a separate classroom, because in
Right.
this case, you could learn just like your neighbor could learn. Yes, you may have
Yeah.
had a physical disability, but that didn't constitute any type of reason for you to not be in the same environment with your peers who are
Right.
typical. So what's your thought process on that?
I think it truly sucks, to be honest, because, and if I'm not mistaken, it's been a couple years since I've like read up on all things education, but not many states do that type of thing. I think it's only like a Florida thing. And I could be wrong, but back then that's what I was hearing. And like you said earlier, we were saying how spina bifida affects everybody differently. Well, when I was I think I was a freshman in college, I had a math teacher, and they had like the school newspaper and everything, and it had like an article. I think it was another student there that had spina bifida, and they were talking about their personal struggles and everything. And so I never knew that I really had an issue with math until I learned that a lot of people with spina bifida, we either struggle in math or English,
I didn't
and
know that.
I I never knew that. Like I was like, oh, so I'm really not dumb,
Right.
you know? I mean, because I just thought it was me, because it was like no matter how much I I studied, no matter how many times I went over or whatever, it's just something about numbers
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
it just would not stick for not, like I could have a person, a tutor or whatever, to go over things with me step by step, and I would do it correctly when the tutor was right there. But then as I tried to go do it on my own, it wouldn't work. And as far as like I was saying earlier, my mom, she fought for me to be in the regular standard classes, to be around other children that are not like me, versus being around children who were like me in wheelchairs and things like that. Because I'm not really sure, but back then they really weren't teaching you anything. Like, of course, you would do like in pre-K, kindergarten, shapes and all those things like that. But even if you once you got to like not older grades, but to higher grades, they would still be doing the same thing, because I don't know if they really thought that all of us had like the not the mental capacity that we needed to do whatever the type of work that we were supposed to do. So they never like really challenged us, and I think it's really sad
I
that
think
they don't give us chances.
I agree.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think
No problem.
that's how it is though. I think
Uh-huh.
we really don't get a chance, and
Right.
as you get older, it goes on.
It
Um,
gets worse.
it
Yeah.
gets worse. I think that's why
Hmm.
most people with a physical disability don't really work, because it's really
Yeah.
hard. It's really hard to you have to go in, and not saying normal people don't have to prove themselves, or typical people don't have to prove themselves, but I feel like because I have this physical disability, and I have to prove myself, and I got to prove
Yep.
myself even more, because
Right.
you're doubting me,
Mhm.
Right. Yep.
um, and I
And
think
that's
it's
not to cut you off, but that's not even in education. I
Right.
feel like that is in every area of our life. We are
yes,
constantly feeling like we have to prove ourselves just to get people to realize that we are human and we can do things just because we have these physical limitations.
yes, for sure. So that's been my cry the whole time. That's why I really started this podcast. I don't know if you
Mhm.
heard our last upload, but I was kind of discriminated against by an employer, and they had
Mm.
to verify with another employer that I did the work, and they still kind of just discriminated against me, and it's just like
Uh-huh.
my whole life. We're dealing with spina bifida in school. In school, like she
Yeah.
said, I feel like they were like, "Here goes this pizza. We're gonna put you in special ed, and you sit in the corner.
Mhm.
You sit in the
Yep.
corner, and that's it. And like you said,
And don't do nothing.
you don't do
Yep.
nothing, and
Mhm.
you don't get taught anything, so you don't get the opportunity to get out of the
Right.
special ed classes, because you ain't learned nothing. You know what I'm saying? You don't
Mhm.
know how to start from back then to get to this. They
Right.
tried to put me in like a regular algebra class. I felt
Mhm.
that mug 3 times. I felt
Yeah.
algebra 3 times because
Same.
now you're throwing me out there saying I can do it, but you just had me in the special ed classes, and we was in there watching movies. You
Right.
know, so
Exactly. Yep.
so it was just like, ah, man, like it's not
Yep.
fair. It's not fair all the way around.
So it
It's
sounds like
not
a failure on the education system.
educate. Yep.
Yeah,
It is.
because, teachers have to go through whatever their process is to get their degree. And I think, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not an education major, but I think that there's a specialized track for those teachers who are going to work in the special ed field.
Yeah.
But it really makes me question, like, so what are you learning, or how are they supposed to interact with children that they have labeled special ed? And I kind of want to back it up even further and figure out what's the definition of special ed, because from
It's
what you
definitely.
guys are saying, it's
Mhm.
like, yes, I have a physical disability. Okay, cool, I'll take that. But
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
pull me out of my environment with my peers where I can learn and I can grow, and to throw me in this classroom and label me as special ed, but then not help me further my education, or not take that
Right.
one-on-one time
Right.
to help me develop, I'm kind of confused. And then I even heard you talk
Yeah.
about the IEP. So it's like, okay, if we're
Mhm.
having these individualized plans for each child, I know you're not telling these parents, because it sounds like you and Brandon both had parents who fought for you. So I
Right.
know they
Mhm.
didn't sit down and tell your mom that, oh yeah, we're gonna put her in this class, but all she's gonna do is do shapes and watch movies. Like, there's no way that was the
You
communication.
know they didn't.
No,
They.
they
You
didn't
know they
communicate
didn't.
that to your mom. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I guess at this point, we've been coming against the players, but I want to take it back. Now we're coming against the school board systems. Like, what's going on?
Exactly.
But
Yep. And I've always wanted to like fight for that
Mm-hmm.
particular area because I know it's so many children, even nowadays, not just back when I was in school, but nowadays it's so many children that like I don't know if people with disabilities get like an extra brain to be smart or something, but I have like some really smart friends, but we're not really given a chance because they push us right in those special ed classes.
yeah,
Yep.
They
so
don't know our ability. Our ability.
I don't think they want to know.
yeah, I
I
don't
think
think
that's
they
the
care.
problem.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
does how do you feel about inclusion? Like, how do you feel about yeah, inclusion?
I think inclusion. We should all, no matter disability, no matter race, no. But of course, we're specifically speaking of disability. I think we should be included in everything because we're human just like everybody else. We have feelings, we have desires, we have needs. And it's sad, like how you were saying, that you were discriminated against in at a job, and I've actually experienced that as well. And it's like they couldn't really give me a reason why they didn't give me the job. It was like I passed all the requirements, the tests, and everything, but they couldn't give me an explanation. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's because they see this share and they
Mm-hmm.
don't think I'm capable of doing, whatever I needed to do to secure the job and to keep the job. And I mean, inclusion is just so important because we really have some smart, intelligent people with disabilities.
I agree. Absolutely agree. So what about dating?
Oh Lord, that's another.
We always get a kick out of this topic.
It's
Oh,
dating
woo.
hard. Do you think people discriminate against you?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's crazy that when I was younger, like I've never been the type to question God about why me. You know, I know there's a scripture in the Bible, John 11:4. It says, "This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God." So
Amen.
that lets me know that I was created for a purpose. Like God made me the way I am because He knew that He could trust me with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was younger, I honestly I didn't have my like first real relationship until I was about 18. And even then, I didn't really question, my capabilities. Am I able to, love another human being? Like, are they going to see me as more or anything like that? I never had to question that until I got into my adulthood, until I got into my 30s.
Wow.
And when I tell you, even the last, 2020, so probably like almost the last 2 years or so, dating has been a headache. It is a headache because, we were just saying, proving ourselves. We're constantly feeling like we have to prove ourselves that we are enough, that we're worthy of love, and worthy of getting married, having children, and it's just. I had one particular situation that happened to me in, I think it was the beginning of last year, beginning 2021, and I was dating a guy, and everything was going so well. Like, how you make your little list of what you want in a man, or a spouse or whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
pray to God, you pray over and all that. I was checking off all the little things, my requirements, and I mean, he had everything. And we were talking and getting to know each other, and then we finally met in person. And I think I might have kind of set myself up for it, for the disappointment, but whatever. So, with COVID being around, I was like, I don't really want to go to a restaurant with a lot of people and all
Mm-hmm.
this kind of stuff. So he was like, okay, just, well, you can come to my house, and, we're both adults, and, we can order some food and we can watch some movies. I was like, yeah, cool. That's, of course. So I did. The date went amazing.
Okay.
Or so I thought. He didn't try to, do anything out of the way, or, nothing. He was very respectful and all that. And he lived on I think the second or the third floor. I was like, cool. It's, I'm good. It's okay. So I was like, well, I can get myself up the steps. You just get my chair.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay. So he took my chair up to the top of the steps, and, he was waiting for me to get up. I was moving like a snail, but I was getting up there. And so he tried to come down and help me. He tried to pick me up. He couldn't handle all of this. So we finally made it up there and, watched the movie, ate the food and everything, thinking everything went well. This was on a Saturday. Sunday, he avoided me. I'm like, well, something's
Oh.
going on. So that Monday, we kind of talked, because we usually talk all day. If we're not on the phone, we were texting, once the work was over and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that Tuesday, I'm like, something is really strange. Like, he's not being his normal self. So I called him, and so we talked, and I was like, "What's the matter?" And he was like, "Oh, nothing." I'm like, "No, something is bothering you. What's going on?" And he was like, "I don't know how to tell you this, but I can't talk to you. I don't want to further our friendship or anything because I can't take your situation." And when I tell you, that broke my heart. I was like, "So you're gonna?" I mean, which I can understand. It was new to him, because he's never dated anybody with a disability, or, that used the wheelchair or anything like that. I get that part, and that's understandable. But it's like, so you're just gonna cut the whole thing off? Like, I thought we were building something, but yeah, he said he couldn't talk to me anymore because of, the chair.
Well,
Wow.
he's an
He's a loser.
asshole. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
His loss.
that of course, I it hurted for a second, because I've never, in all of my years of dating, I have never been told that before, and I've always dated able-bodied men.
Mm-hmm.
I've only had one relationship to where a guy, he was a paraplegic, but he was really independent, even
Mm-hmm.
though he had his physical situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it really kind of tore me apart for a second, and then I had to remember who I was and whose I was.
You better
Amen.
say
And
it. You better say it.
and but it kind of makes me nervous now, meeting new people, because you just never know what people are gonna say or think. But then that, I have to remember the prayers,
Mm-hmm.
that I prayed, and I feel like whoever God has for me, they're not gonna have an issue with whatever I have going on.
Yep.
So yeah, I just left him where he was. I was like, okay, you go on about your business. It's
Where he
okay.
deserved to be, because
Yep.
he didn't deserve you.
Right.
Exactly.
But kind of switching gears, so
Mm-hmm.
you talk us through this situation where you're dating this asshole, because that's what we're going to classify him as going
Correct.
forward.
Correct.
But you know, like you said, you reminded yourself who you are and whose you were. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen when I went and visited your Facebook page, I saw on there that you are a confidence influencer, and that just grabbed me. I'm like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
want to dive into that a little bit more. So talk to us about like, give us some strategies. So for those who may
Mm-hmm.
struggle with confidence, especially coming off a situation like that, you go into trying to date, someone lets you down just due to their stupidity and their ignorance, and it can
Mm-hmm.
attack and kind of disrupt your confidence or your self-esteem or whatever you have going down. You know, it takes us low for a
Right.
little bit. But talk us
Mm-hmm.
through like how we bring ourselves back up, or just how do we develop that confidence when we have so many things going on to where the world is looking at us a little bit differently.
Okay. So me personally, I can only tell you my truth. Um, my truth lies in the hands of Jesus Christ. I don't know how everybody else, chooses to believe, but that's what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had to, like I said, I had to remember who I was and whose I am. I'm a child of God and I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God didn't make any mistakes when he created me. He knew everything about me, from the way my toes would look to the curve in my spine from the scoliosis, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I had to really understand that and to remember it, even though it did upset me a little bit. But I had to remember that I am not my situation, no matter how such and such chooses to view me, is what how I see myself. And that's through the eyes of Jesus Christ. And as far as confidence building, I haven't always been this confident for the most part, but going through different situations, you learn about yourself. You learn, like the song Whitney Houston says, I didn't know my own strength. You have to really look deep within yourself and always remember that labels, no matter how people try to see you or how they view you, you have to look deep within yourself and to always remember who you are, no matter what the situation is.
That's what's up. I'm so glad to hear you speaking positive. Like,
And I was, not to cut you off, I was really going to say something really profound, but I forgot what it was.
It happens to the best of us, sis.
but it's good to hear you speaking positive because, a lot often, and I don't, I don't, I don't know how to say this, but I
Uh-huh.
find myself in like a dump, and I just
Uh-huh.
don't know what it would look like if my spina bifida was worse, or I
Yeah.
just don't. I be in a dump sometimes, so I don't always have
Yeah.
positive things to say. So I'm so glad to hear somebody else
Same
be
here.
uplifting and praising God and just positive about the situation, and
But,
not to say
go
that
ahead.
I'm always negative about my
Mm-hmm.
situation either. I try to tend to forget and try to, be normal. But, it's some days it's just like, F this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really tired of
No,
this.
trust me. Listen, this I may look. I mean, I'm not gonna say I look positive. I am a positive person, and I try to, like, if you, like you say, you went on my social media, I try to be like one of the most positive people. But of course, I have my days just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I have my days where I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way my body is shaped, and all these different, what we would think are imperfections. Um, I have my down days. I think in the last probably 2, 3 years or so, I've had more down days than I would like. But somehow, some way, you just find the strength, especially through prayer.
Yeah.
That's another way that I have been able to build the confidence that I have. Prayer, and then being around positive people. People who speak life into you when you don't feel like speaking life.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not easy,
Can I ask
even
you?
though we make it look easy. Uh huh.
Can I ask you what is the most challenging part for you with dealing with spina bifida?
You want like the physical part? It's like what we have to like deal with on a daily basis, or
Just
like from what aspect?
in general, like for me personally, I think me dealing with other people, that's the hardest part for me. um the pain I've been living with for so long, so I that's not a part of, I
Mhm.
think dealing with other people, my day-to-day interactions with other people is what pissed me off the most about having spina bifida, because they treat me different.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
just in
It,
general.
so from a, I guess you could say, health standpoint, I hate the bladder and the bowel part. I'm like, Lord, why couldn't you just give me a normal black? Like, I would give anything to have a normal functioning body.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, the pain, the back pain, the leg pain, the knee pain. I'm like, it's parts of my body that I didn't even know could hurt sometimes.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's like, and then like you say, dealing with other people, we're judged way before we're given a chance, no matter what the situation or area of life we are, we're judged no matter what. And it's just hard to always like have to prove yourself to people, as we were saying earlier. Um Proving yourself that you can do this or you can do that. Um it's just, yeah, it sucks. Finding this just sucks. But we learn how to, you know,
To
deal
adapt
with
and
it.
survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
want to
We
take
live and we thrive.
I want to take a positive spin on everything you just said. So you talked about
Mhm.
being judged and having to prove yourself and basically overcoming is what I'm hearing. So tell us
Mhm.
a little bit more about you being a pageant queen. So this is a situation where
Oh,
you are being judged, and I know you said
yeah.
that you have not only competed in pageantry for the disabled, but you have also done pageants for full able-bodied people and placed. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, your girl won.
Come
no.
on. So let me correct that. Pageant's queen won. Tell us a
Yes,
little bit more about that experience.
I was crowned Miss oh Lord, I forgot to say Miss Fabulous Woman 2019.
That's dope.
Um so I started doing pageantry in 2015, and all of the pageants that I've done except the able-bodied ones, they were more geared toward people with disabilities or women with disabilities. And I competed in Miss Wheelchair Florida. Uh, Starting in 2015, I actually did it 4 times. They don't really care how many times you do it until you win. And unfortunately for their loss, I never placed. I never won. I think I just went up to first runner up,
Okay.
and that was in 2018. And it's not your typical pageant. It's more of like advocating for people with disabilities. And the way that I found it, I was looking like I was researching something totally different back in like 2014, and I stumbled across Miss Wheelchair Florida. I'm like, what is a Miss Wheelchair Florida? They got pageants? Like, this is a
Mhm.
thing?
Mhm.
I had never heard of it a day in my life. I had never done a pageant a day in my life. But of course, being a little girl, you like the big poofy dresses and
Yeah.
the makeup and hair and all that. And I went in with that type of attitude, like, oh, I'm gonna win this because I'm pretty and blah blah blah. All this, child, it was not about that at all.
Oh.
They burst my little bubble. So, I connected with the pageant coordinator. I talked with her in 2014, but it was a little bit too late for me to do it that year. So I was like, okay, I'll do it for 2015. I did my fundraising and paid all my dues to get there and all that kind of stuff. So I got there thinking it was just gonna be some little prissy, little cute little. When I tell you we hit the ground running with
Mhm.
workshops from everything disability related. Like we did some things, workshops on fair housing, um, not weight loss, fitness, how to keep your body up, body, mind, and soul. We did some on advocating for yourself or advocating for other people with disabilities, how to travel in a wheelchair, like all different types of things, dealing with all things disability related. And then we were all also judged. We had to do like 4 rounds of judging 101.
Okay.
That I was terrified because I had no clue what they were gonna ask. So here I am before, like a week before the pageant started. I'm googling things about the ADA, and I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
God, I cannot remember all this stuff. Do you know they did not ask me anything about the ADA? I was like, what the? So I done did all that, but it has been a very, very rewarding um, opportunity that I've had. When I started in 2015, of course, I told you I went with the wrong attitude, like I'm gonna win this because I'm pretty. I didn't place at all. So, but I went home with drive,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to do what I saw the other women doing because not only did we were judged by judges, we also had to come up with a platform, which is something that we are very passionate about within the disability community.
Yeah.
And like I say, 2015, my hair was on point, dress was on point, everything, but my speech sucked. So I went back, didn't do it 2016. I went back 2017, did my homework, and I placed. That's when I started placing. I placed second runner up. Went back the next year, I placed first runner up. And then as far as like with the able body pageant that I did, it's a local pageant here in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's called the Fabulous Woman Pageant, and it's geared toward women, pretty much like confidence building, self esteem building, and just like being a sister and building a sisterhood and
Mm-hmm.
doing things in the community. I think that year when I won first runner up, it was the pageant. I want to say 6th year, and I am the only woman in the wheelchair that has ever done the pageant. And I
Wow.
That's
actually
dope.
took home the crown. And I won Miss Congeniality and most photogenic as well. So
I
That's
love that.
awesome.
I love that. I
yeah,
love the courage you had to even say, hey, I mean, yes, I've done my competing for the disabled pageants, but why can't I compete for a regular title, you know? So here we go. I'm going to do
right.
it and brought it home.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? How I can't even win a wheelchair pageant, but I go win a able body pageant.
Love it. Love it
I'm
so
like,
much.
what? Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I
um,
cried like a baby.
I'm sure.
I think I was just delirious though. I was tired.
That makes sense too. That makes sense too. But well deserved.
right. I wanted
Thank you.
to
Thank
ask you, when you were
you.
growing up, did they tell you like an age limit that life expectancy?
Yep. They told my mom. I think the ages that she was given was 9 and 12.
Oh my
Wow.
And
goodness.
yeah, and they told her if I made it past like whatever age they gave her that I would be a vegetable, that she would never be able to work again because she would always have to take care of me. Yeah, they told her all those, yeah,
Yeah.
craziness.
Those
Same for my
lies.
mom. Yeah.
Mhm.
They told my mom that 30 would be 14 really. But if I made it past 14 without a shunt, then it would be 30. So I would be a
Oh wow.
vegetable. She would not, that'd be it. Like she wouldn't be able to work. Like I'm not gonna drive. I'm not gonna do anything on my
Mhm.
own. And we've knocked all those out.
I heard that the nerve of them to try to be God.
Right,
Say
right.
it again, sis. The nerve to try to be God.
Yeah, like I mean, I understand they went to school to predict and to learn how to predict things, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't always know. Like, yeah, they just, I guess after 12 with me, 12 years old, they stopped counting. So I'll be 37 this year.
That is awesome.
So, yeah,
Living
yeah,
so
God.
fabulously over there.
Yes.
Girl, trying to COVID won't let me be great, but that's okay.
COVID ain't letting nobody be
Yeah,
great right
COVID
about
is
now.
hard. COVID is hard. But we're
It is.
not gonna hold you too much longer. Is there any advice that you would give to a kid that has spina bifida? A young lady, that is, growing up with spina bifida. Any advice?
Yeah, of course. Number one, believe in yourself. You are not a mistake, and never be afraid to push the envelope and to prove people wrong.
Girl, I just got chills.
That is awesome.
That is
Like what's
awesome.
that? The army. I think they say, "Be all you
Be
can
all you
be."
can be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
So how can we connect to you for our listeners out there, for anybody who has been inspired by you or just wants to stay connected and see what you're doing? How can we connect with you?
See, right now I want to sound all professional and send people to my website, but I don't have one, so we ain't gonna do that.
Don't worry, we'll circle back with you. You'll have it by then.
Yes, we're gonna work on it. We're gonna work on it.
We actually
But
have a friend that lives in Jacksonville. So, like I told you before, when I come to Jacksonville, I'm gonna link with you. And my dad lives in
Probably
West
be
Palm
this
Beach.
year.
Yeah, my dad lives in
okay,
West Palm Beach, so I'm, not too far away. And I need to get with you about whatever y'all have down there. I kind of got kicked us out. Got us kicked out of the one in Alabama for
Spina Bifida Clinic.
yeah, the Spina Bifida Association. But we'll talk about
That's
that on another
another day.
podcast.
Yeah. Okay,
Lord,
so Facebook, Instagram, where we gonna follow
yes.
you at?
So you can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook is Yvonne Vonnie Milton. And my Instagram handle is at Vonnie Milt. That's VONNIEMILT.
Awesome. Well, we just appreciate your
Thank you so
time,
much.
your energy, man. Brandon told me about you, I think like last week. And he's like, she's so dope. We got to connect with her and whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm finna go follow her on Facebook. So I added you.
Oh,
And just from the second I visited your page, like you just have this energy that is very it's attractive. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, she smiles so bright, she's so pretty. You're always putting out this positive message. The confidence.
Like her confidence is like everything to me.
Yes, you just beam and you glow. And then when I was writing you today, I think I told you, I'm like, man, I love your energy. So past this
you
podcast,
did. Yeah.
I definitely want to connect and stay connected and hopefully build a friendship. I really love your vibe.
Yes, thank you. To God be the glory.
Amen. Amen.
But thank y'all so much for the opportunity. Like, I could literally go on. I thought I was going to be so nervous, but y'all made me feel so comfortable.
Well, we'll circle back for a part 2.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2 if you got time.
Hey, that's what's up. I'm here. Just let me know.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end the podcast. You stay on the phone so we can wrap it up real quick. But yeah. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. BTDTTV and Gmail, Instagram, and
All right, listen,
and
y'all.
YouTube.
BTDTTV is our Instagram and YouTube. You can find us on Anchor, iPod, Apple Podcast.
So you talking about me?
Exactly. And pulling my handicap card. Y'all be sure to like, comment, subscribe, give us some feedback. We love y'all. Peace.
Peace.